Yo, what's good, Link?
Yo, what's up, man? How you?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing real good. It's good to hear from you, man.
Yeah, man. Are we doing a video chat or just a phone call?
It's just a phone call.
Okay.
Yeah. What's good, man?
What's good, Trav?
Yeah, hey, man. The way we got this, we usually just do voice because the way we got the studio set up, we sit across from each other.
Yes, I can't see anything.
So he'll never see anything, and you just got to stare at me the whole time.
So how's your day going so far, bro?
It's good, man. How you guys doing?
Good, man.
I'm tired.
Yeah, again, this guy's
I'm
tired
always tired,
man.
Bro, work is work, right?
Yeah, bro. I just finished working out a little while ago, man, and I'm just tired, man.
Are you rubbing it in for all us that don't hit the gym?
That's what he does. Yeah. That's pretty much what he does. I worked all day and then I worked out, man. I'm tired, but I'm up and I'm doing stuff.
I'm even more tired because Renes, he has me doing this push-up challenge, the 30-day push-up challenge, and it's like since I've been doing it, man. It's like,
but he don't go down all the way though.
It don't matter.
I've been trying to tell this. Look, I'm gonna put him on blast.
It don't matter if I don't go down all the way.
That's what she said.
I'm a defend him now though. A plank is a plank, right?
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, man. It's like, I still got a little belly in the way, man. So it's like I can't get all the way down, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't see that belly touching the floor.
Hey, not because I be wearing big shirts.
That's what it is.
You be seeing how baggy my shirts are.
Oh, okay. I thought you ain't wearing no shirts. I got you in the corner now.
I gotta wear shirts when I'm at work.
I hear you.
I gotta wear shirts when I'm at work. You know the deal. You used to work with me.
I know. I know what they do over there.
I can't walk around the company shirtless.
You could.
I mean, yeah, I could. I'd probably get in trouble.
That would be funny though. You show up to work one day without a shirt.
Without a shirt.
Like, I thought it was shirtless Tuesdays. You know what I mean?
If they say something, you just act like, oh man, I didn't even realize.
I forgot. I'm like, Trav told me. Like Trav.
But Travis said.
Travis ain't worked here. Since January?
Yeah. How's your afternoon going?
It's good, man. It's really good. So yeah, it's been good.
No, I hear that.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So again, like, I just want to say thank you for joining us, man. You know, I always say that, you know, through the power of, you know, being friends with people and just, you know, sharing stuff and retweeting stuff, you know, that's how I found you on Twitter, because you're friends with Renes. And you told me that you had listened to his episode, and it's like after that I was like, okay, Link. I was like, he's an actor too. I would love to have him come on the podcast, man. We're always down to have guests come on the podcast: actors, wrestlers, cosplayers, burlesque dancers. So again, thank you for joining us tonight, man.
Oh, thank you for the invite, man. I thought that was really cool that you guys invited me, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, for sure. So before we get into, you know, your acting career and whatnot, give us your origin story. So tell everybody that's listening, who is Link?
Oh man, can I make it up? No.
I mean,
hey, who's to say you are? We don't know.
I mean, like, well, bro, my origin story, I'm from space. So
yeah, he's from space.
Yeah.
So
he's from space. Yeah. That's great. Nobody will have any questions for you after that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You from space,
bro? It's like,
okay.
I don't know if y'all remember this 80s movie, but I think it was called like The Brother from Another Planet.
Oh man, one of my favorite films, dude. Right. I don't know how long ago you saw that, but I want to say that there's a scene where he's getting high. He's shooting up heroin. And I remember running out to the fire escape and looking outside to see if he was in my neighborhood, because I was so used to that. I know, I'm just sad. And I was like, that's how much that film impacted me. And I was like, don't do it, you know. But anyway, I'm glad you brought that up, because it was one of my favorite films when I was a kid, and I was just blown away when I saw it. But origin, I was born in Carmel, California. My father was in the military. And he was stationed out there. My mother gave birth there. And then I, moved to Puerto Rico in the southeastern region, which is called Yabucoa. and I lived there till I was about 4 or 5 years old. And then I moved to Trenton, New Jersey. And I lived there for about a year and then moved back to Puerto Rico. My origin story is a little complex because I've been to 13 different public schools.
That's crazy.
Growing up, you know? Yeah. So I always thought my mother was running from the mob for a while because I was like, this is crazy.
Bro, that's a good story to tell people.
Yeah. But I moved back and forth. So I went to school in Puerto Rico and I went to school in the States. So, of course, my English and my Spanish was always intertwining constantly. My mother doesn't speak English. So, I spoke Spanish first and then learned English later. And then when I was a teenager in my late teens, I moved to New York and I lived in New York for a bunch of years, and got married in New York, had my kid in New York and blah, blah, blah. And then traveled down to Atlanta, Georgia and lived there for 2 years, and then went down to Miami, lived there for 10 years. And now I'm here in LA for the past 9 years, going on 10 in June.
Yeah, man. That's
nuts, man.
That's really interesting, man. It's like you've been all nuts. Over, man.
Yeah, and I skip a bunch of places because it's too much. How about this? I've lived in this apartment for 9 years, and it's the longest I've ever lived in one place in my life.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, no, that is nuts because I've never even left the East Coast.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. I mean, like
where are you guys located?
We're in Virginia. Have you ever been to Virginia?
I drove through and got a ticket.
Yeah, hey.
Where at?
I don't know because I just drove through and I remember the state trooper. I was with my nephew and the state trooper ran out. It was crazy. I wasn't even speeding, but he gave me a speeding ticket anyway. And he knew I was traveling to New York. I was traveling from Miami to New York, and we won a 95.
Yeah,
and
that's about right.
And he literally ran from his exit. He passed by me, and I was like, I wonder who's chasing. Nobody passed by me. And then he ran out of his car, and he stood in the middle of the street. It was about 2 a.m. in the middle of the highway with his hand out, like some old TV stuff. And I was like, what's going on? And he put me to the side, and he said I was speeding. And I was like, I wasn't speeding. And of course, my nephew got all riled up, and I was like, "Look, we're in Virginia. I don't want to take any chances. They see out-of-state plates.
Yeah.
So we called it a wrap, and I didn't pay the ticket, got some points, and blah blah blah. And that was my Virginia trip.
Yo, that is horrible.
Yeah,
this man nuts, dude. He ran out in the middle of the interstate over a speeding ticket
at 2 a.m. And I was like,
I thought he was paying attention.
No.
Yo, what if you weren't paying attention, bro? He's done.
He was on some.
I know.
He was on some Robert Patrick.
If I was sleeping.
Yo.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So was he a RoboCop?
Yeah, he was. He looked. Those troopers. They all look the same after a while.
He had the haircut.
It's like the haircut. They look the way they hat. I'm like, you guys look like you manufactured, just came out
at all. Look, man, when you brought up the other movie about, what movie were we talking about before this?
Brother from another planet.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Something that I saw on Netflix, and I keep forgetting to bring it up, is Undercover Brother 2.
I've seen Undercover
Brother. And it finally came out.
I haven't.
Bro, that movie
it.
Is a running joke on this podcast about them doing it and it never coming out. And it came out and we never talked about it. And I keep forgetting to bring it up.
And Michael J. White is in it.
Huh?
Michael J. White is in it.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same character. Like he's Eddie Griffin's character.
Oh.
And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, we all just went,
I don't know how I feel about that, though.
Yeah, no, I ain't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
I just saw the trailer, yeah. But I was like, holy crap, it's out.
You think Dave Chappelle in it?
No. Dave Chappelle's not in it.
What was he in the Conspiracy Brother?
Right, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was Dave Chappelle's name well, he didn't have a name. He was just a...
We don't know what you're talking about, though.
But you know what Undercover Brother is.
Undercover Brother.
I remember Undercover Brother, yeah.
Yeah.
Brother.
I know they made it 2, and I never heard of Conspiracy.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro, that was Dave Chappelle's character in the first movie. Because remember, like he...
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because he was the...
He's making up
He was
stuff,
the conspiracy...
I don't know what he's talking about.
Trav, pull your phone out and look it up.
What is Conspiracy Brother?
That was his name. Just like
you're making it seem like it's a whole separate movie.
Just like you had Undercover Brother, you had Conspiracy Brother.
Yeah, you're making it seem like Conspiracy Brother is a whole separate movie.
Nah, I'm not doing any of that.
You confusing us here.
Nah, I'm not confusing anybody.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm sure the listeners know what I'm talking about.
I'm sure they do.
Just like there's an evil Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, okay. All right, man. So let's start getting into how you got into acting.
Yes, sir.
Because I read through the grapevine that you started off as a rapper.
Uh-oh. Yeah. I used to rap.
And that's coming from New York?
Long time.
Was you rapping in New York?
I mean, the whole hip hop scene, like that was huge growing up. I was born in 75. So in the 80s, you know, between traveling to Puerto Rico and back into the States, you know, just being a B-boy in general was really big as a kid. And then, you know, the graduation to DJ. And then I was in ninth grade, there was a brother from Brooklyn that performed live, like with a live band in my music class. And I was just blown away. He was rapping and I fell in love with it. And then like by 15, I was rapping. And before you know it, you know, I was rapping in the trains in New York and, you know, and down, we used to rap a lot in the village. Any like large 90s, like you say, like Mos Def, Talib Kweli, all those dudes, we used to all rap in the same ciphers, you know, back in the day in the village before those guys became well known to to everybody else.
Right.
So yeah, it was a lot of rappers. I mean, like J. Rooted Damage. I don't know if you're familiar with some of those artists, but yeah, a lot of underground rappers would end up blossoming later on in the 90s when I left New York in the late 90s. So yeah, I rapped for years. I rapped and was recorded albums and was signed to like little independent labels and was shelved. And I think one of the last albums I recorded was at the Hip Factory in Miami.
Oh, that's crazy!
When I was in Miami. Yeah. No, so it was definitely something that you know I dedicated a lot of time to.
Who were some of your inspirations?
I'm old school, so at least so Rakim was a huge inspiration. Nas was a huge inspiration. You know, of course, like MCs like Cannabis was huge. And then, you know, just in the vibe, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, like that whole Native Tongue crew was always fly. And yeah, man, then you just other MCs that you go and you be rapping in the village and they'll say stuff and it just inspires you just to hear somebody that sounded different, you know?
Yeah, that's how I kind of grew up listening to that era of hip hop, where not that far back, but when you start getting into, you know, like Big Pun and Biggie.
Yeah, Big Pun.
And then Jay came along, which is everyone knows Jay's my number one. And but that's crazy because like you was talking about everybody like rapping in the village and stuff. And that's kind of how it was back then, where like it was the next guy from the block came up, but now it's like the SoundCloud movement, and that's how people are getting noticed now.
Yeah, SoundCloud,
right,
YouTube,
right,
TikTok.
I mean, I think if you look up, there might be still a MySpace page with my name on it. You know, that was the biggest thing at that time. I think I put it under Link Ruiz. It was always Link. It was always, and my homeboy said, "Yo, you sound like a tech dude," because I said my name was Omni Link for a minute. And then, you know, this is before Omni became Omni.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, but, you know, there was a little bit of sci-fi, I think, in all of us at some point in time, thanks to a bunch of MCs out there, you know?
Why did you stop rapping?
You know what? To be honest with you, for me, I think it was a transition. I was, you know, I had grown up in the hood, and I grew up, you know, we called them ghettos then, but now we call them, what we call them today? Urban community.
Urban community.
Urban community. Yeah. But, you know, when I was growing up, we were in the ghetto, and it was, you know, and I had a lot to say. And then it was like at some point in time where I felt like I just didn't know what else to talk about because I was no longer living in that space. And, but, you know, I had made a promise to myself at the time that when I hit 33, that if I wasn't successful in the music business, that I was going to try acting. And I was at a show. We were performing at a show, me and my DJ, DJ Omega, and it was another DJ that we had in a crew called Rip the Cut. I was kind of like main source with two DJs for a little while, and we were performing. Me and DJ Omega was performing, and I did one song, and then of course the power went out in the building that we were performing in, and some people had lighters, and there was like flashlights and all that. And so for the second set, I did like a song with some hand claps and to get the crowd involved.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I was not going to be able to perform. I didn't know when the lights were going to come back on. And not that there was any other acts behind me, but I was the act on stage. To try to keep the crowd motivated, I just began talking for a little bit, and there was no microphone, so there was no electricity. And I just started telling them, I don't even remember what I was saying. I was just, telling them a story about my life. And I've, gone through many adventures and many different schools and met so many different people, and people just started laughing and laughing. And they were like, yo, we came to see a rap show, and you end up being like a comedian on stage. And I was like, and then people just got inspired, and they inspired me too, because they were like, yo, do you perform? Do you go on stage normally, telling jokes? Do you act? Like, what is it you do? Because you had these characters on stage. And I didn't even know. I was just nervous.
Right, yeah.
But, I did what I did, and then, kind of slowly got into acting.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, because I just watched the movie recently where it was like somebody was supposed to be performing on stage, and I guess either the power went out or something. It's kind of similar to your story. And it's like they were just on stage talking the whole time, and it's just like, yo, like, what are you doing? We didn't come here to just listen to you talk. Like, we want to hear some music. We came here to dance, have a good time. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting that I'm mad I can't remember if it was a movie or a TV show that I was watching, but it's funny that you're telling your story, and I'm just like, yeah, like I just saw this recently.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to watch, because I thought it was crazy that happened, and it naturally just transitioned into me just talking, which I have no problem doing. Sometimes they say I talk too much.
But that's like the worst thing that can happen to an artist on stage, right? To a performer is that moment happening, and then it's like, what am I supposed to do?
And you're right, especially for me, I wasn't a well-known artist. But for like somebody that's known to perform, they don't want to hear somebody talk. It's like if Jay-Z went up on stage, the power went out, and you'd be mad if you start talking to you. You'd be like, yo, I want to hear some of your music.
Yeah.
But it depends on how well of a storyteller he or she is, you know what I mean? Without having to write it in a rhyme.
Yeah.
So that's also another thing,
I don't know. Like, I think if the power went out at the Jay-Z concert and he was just on stage talking, like, I think people will be like, okay, it's story time.
Kanye start preaching.
Kanye start preaching. What he gonna be preaching about?
I don't know. So now some guys, they can handle that, like a J. Cole could handle something like that happening, because he's such a storyteller, anyways.
But I'm sure they'll be running to get the battery pack and making sure the generator's going. They'll be like, yo, we got to get this show going. With me, it was like everybody gave up that owned the building. They were just like, we're can't figure out. We're done for the night, and I was just sitting there trying to entertain the crowd, which I ended up successfully doing it. Yeah. And I was surprised. I was like, they're laughing. Like, and when people are laughing and you saying, for me, it was just telling a little bit about my life and sharing it in a story. When people laugh, it's kind of contagious, and you just kind of like, you spread your wings a little bit more, and you want to tell more.
Yeah.
Without getting anybody in trouble.
But outside, I mean, rapping or acting, you saying that you was born to entertain.
I was born to entertain. It took me a long time. For anybody that rapped at one point in time, like I'm sure 50 Cent, I'm sure like anybody who transitioned into acting from rapping, some people say it's easy, but I'm sure they had to struggle with saying, damn, but I dedicated all my life as a rapper. Like now I'm going to switch it up. And it's like, you have to kind of deal with this duality, this struggle of are you abandoning what you've always set out that you're going to do for the rest of your life? You know, so you kind of like deal with that inner struggle. I'm sure 50 Cent had to deal with that at some point in time, and then wondering how the public is going to judge him as an actor.
Oh,
you know? I feel
they
like
went in on him.
I feel like that's the same. Yeah. The same could be said about like athletes who want to pursue a career in either acting or music. Because I mean, look at how many basketball players wanted to rap. I mean, like Shaq is a key one. But I believe Shaq's done it all. Well, you know what I'm saying?
Shaq got them platinum records, though, bro. That's a bad example of bringing up Shaq.
Yeah. And he was a Fushnikin for a little while. You know, I don't know if you know. We used to call them fuzzy chicken instead of Fushnikins. We were like fuzzy chicken. He's in a fuzzy chicken group.
And Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, Eddie
he's
Murphy.
taking as a joke as far as artists
Eddie Murphy
go.
can sing.
Yeah, he could sing. I mean, if you watch Delirious, if you watch Raw, and you hear his performances, like that brother can sing.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he had that song. What was it? My girl wants to party all the time.
Dude, tell me that song ain't hot though. That song's hot.
Yeah. It was a classic, and you know, for the '80s, you know, people probably laughed at it at the time, but he was you know, an amazing entertainer. And I think Shaq is a great entertainer too. You know.
Yeah, I was about to say something about Eddie Murphy. I can't remember what it was. I think I was gonna bring up the story with Ken, where Ken was we had an actor up here before, Ken Michael, and he worked with Eddie in the movie Boomerang, and he was telling us how, you know, he was going through some stuff at the time, you know, with acting, and we'll ask you that question too, where you know, he was being stereotyped to certain roles. And he said that, you know, Eddie brought him in the trailer and talked with him and gave him like all this amazing advice.
He pep talked him pretty much.
Gave him a really good pep talk. And he said that after he was done talking with him, he walked over to the tape cassette and hit play, and it was the album. I mean, not the album, but the tape that had Party All the Time up there. And then he was saying Eddie worked with like all these musicians. Like he said he did a song with Jamie Foxx before Jamie Foxx was big, didn't he?
I don't know, bro. I know he worked with the Who's Who though.
Yeah, the Who's Who's, yeah. So one last question I wanted to ask you, going back to rap, if you were still doing it and you could, you know, collaborate with a star of today, who would it be? If you still even listen to today's hip hop.
You know, it's really interesting. If I that's a really good question. Damn.
Thank you.
If I could perform with somebody, like record a song, you know what? I would probably want to mess with J. Cole.
That's a good choice.
Yeah, I would definitely play. I'd rock with him. Sky Zoo's probably dope. Kendrick is always fly. There's a brother from, oh my God, what's his name? That I really like a lot. I think he's from Chicago too.
Lupe Fiasco?
No.
Oh, Chance the Rapper?
No, Chance is fly too. I think Chance would be fun too. Yeah. You know what? I would probably want to rock with Chance.
Yeah, you ever listen to Dave East?
Dave East. You know who you remind me of? Your voice reminds me of West Side Gun.
Who, Banks?
No, yours.
I know there's no way you're talking about me.
You know who I'm talking about? West Side Gun?
Oh, trust me. I know West Side Connection. Yeah, I used to love watching Mac 10 come out and do his Crip dance, bro, all over the stage. And I used to be like, man, that jank is the coolest. This dude come out like Crip dancing and stacking and stuff, and that's a whole art form. And it's the coolest thing ever. I ain't gonna do it.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Why you give me that look?
Why not?
Why would you do the Crip walk?
I enjoy breathing. I enjoy being alive.
Bro, when I was at high school, people was doing the Crip walk. They was doing the blood walk. Really? They was doing all of them.
All the walks.
And some of like, and I always thought it was crazy because I'm just like, it's like
was doing the holler back.
You're not even in a gang, and you sit here doing all the dances.
Oh my! I'll tell you a quick short story. I'm in the Bronx, and you know, me and a couple of my friends are hanging out, and you know, it's late night, so you know, we're up to no good. But a friend of mine was approached by a gang member, and he had a tattoo of a crown. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the Latin Kings.
Yeah, the Latin Kings.
Latin Kings, yeah.
And my friend, you know, his name is Ray, and Ray in Spanish means king. So the guy says to him in Spanish, "Yo, are you Ray?" You know, and he goes, "Yeah, why, you know me?" But he has a tattoo of a crown on his hand. And the guy gets really upset because my friend thinks he's calling him by his name, but he's not. He's referring to a Latin king. And man, we get into such a tussle, and they come back, and it gets live really quick, and we start running for our lives. So I never ever do anything. I know why you, like, Trav probably looked at you and was like, I ain't doing that.
No, I ain't.
It's because, you know, I remember the guy saying, "Yo, you perpetrating a fraud. Y'all perpetrating a fraud." And they came chasing us with, you know, and they were firing at us. And it was crazy. But we were younger. So you feel like, you know, you're a superhero when you're young.
The wrong colors thing is a real thing, man, especially, 20 years ago. And since you brought up the Latin Kings, one of my best friends, Dave, we was donating plasma, right? So we in Portsmouth, we donating plasma. And as you know, down there in Portsmouth, that's not the best of characters.
Yeah, that's right.
But Dave, he gone on these like, you remember back in the day you had the sweatpants, but like the baggy sweatpants. So they didn't like cuff at the end. They was like baggy pants.
Yeah.
So, but he was rocking like yellow baggy sweatpants. And these two, Latin dudes roll up on us. And it's like, yo, you Latin Kings? And we was like, we's two white boys. Do you think we're Latin Kings? No.
Y'all was affiliated. That's what they was thinking.
I know they was thinking it, but come on, bro. Like, I'm just wearing yellow pants. Like, we are two random white guys. Yeah, we joined the Latin Kings. They brought us in. Like,
hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. That would make for a good movie.
Oh, bro, what's it called? Me and Dave was quick. Like, look, bro, we ain't affiliated with nothing like that. We just in here trying to get plasma.
Yeah,
we don't want no problems.
Y'all just trying to make some money. We just trying to make some money.
Let me clear it up real quick.
It's like, hey, these Lakers colors, baby. Like, we Kobe Bryant fans.
Yeah. But what they was doing was checking us to see if we were perpetrating the fraud, bro, and see if we was claiming something that we ain't.
Now see,
and that's what they was doing.
Now see, if we were friends back then, you could have been just like, "Hey, I know Benjamin Banks."
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure that would have been. Oh, they would have said, "You're right. Hey, we don't want no problems."
My name ring bells.
Yeah.
It'll be on some Yusuke Urameshi type stuff. Oh, okay. But yeah, so let's get into your acting career. So when you made that transition from rapping to acting, what was the reason? Not the reason, but like, what made you want to become an actor?
Oh man, I mean, I have a version. My mother has a version.
I want to hear both versions.
Yeah.
What's that?
I want to hear both versions because we got all the.
Your mom real quick. We got both versions.
We got all the time in the world, Link. We got all the time in the world.
All right. Well, let me back up a little bit because there's a lot that I'll skip just to not, So in 2004, I was diagnosed with MS. I had my first episode of MS.
Oh wow, that's crazy, man.
Yeah. So it was like it was a shock, and this is a couple years after I had turned 33, and I hadn't done anything, as far as acting is concerned, and I lost sight, so I'm blind through one of my eyes. A lot of people don't know that, which now they'll know, whoever's listening. And so, of course, you kind of deal when you ever experience mortality, like a moment of, things kind of change. Your perspective in life changes.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? Life is short. Let me take an acting class and let me see if I like it. And that's what kind of initiated the whole acting thing because it maybe sat in my mind. I did that for 6 months. And then, I got to work on a few plays, did dinner theater. Then I was like, let me try this extra thing, which is how I met Reness. I did it for a little bit, I think maybe 6 months. And then one of my homeboys came into town from LA. I knew him in Miami and he was doing a show in Miami. And he says, yo, I leave in like a month. If you want to pursue this, why don't you come out to LA? You can stay at my place. And that was it, man. A month, I talked with the missus and she thought it was a good idea, you know, and I had been dealing with a lot of, you know, when you receive like when you experience a mortal moment, you question everything that you're doing in life.
Yeah.
And then you realize that, you know what, life is short, and I gotta jump on whatever I'm gonna do and then push forward in it, you know. And I was like, you know, if I'm in hip hop, I was always like one foot in the water and the other one out, because I didn't like the politics in it. And it was driving me crazy, where I didn't fit an image that they wanted for the label, which was really annoying at the time. And then I was just like, you know, if I'm gonna pursue this acting thing, I'm gonna jump head first in the water. And so I said, you know, I'm going to LA, and that's kind of, I just packed my bags and drove across country to LA. Now, according to my mother, I was talking to her the other day, and she was like, you know, you always wanted to be an actor, you know. And just a side note, my mom doesn't speak English. Like, she's better now, but she doesn't. Like, if you had a long conversation with her, she'd be like looking around like, I don't know what you're saying. Just smile, act like she understands you, you know. And she might even nod your head, and you'd be like, oh, she understands.
She just like, hurry up.
Yeah, like she saw me in an episode recently, and she was like, oh, I saw you. I don't know what the show was about, but I saw you. Yeah. You know, she was so excited, and that's that pride. But according to my mother, it was funny. We were talking. I was driving, and I had on, you know, the Bluetooth, and I'm driving, and I was just coming from an audition. And I don't know if every actor, but a lot of us, I'm going to say, keep clothing in the car in case we got to run to another audition. And between work, trying to, you know, struggling within your day job and then actually working as an actor,
yeah,
you know, you keep clothing in the car. So my mom's just talking to me, and she's like, you know, you always wanted to be an actor. And I was like, how come I don't remember? She goes, you remember that white guy that lived down the street, and he used to keep all this clothing in his car, and used to be like, I want to be him. And I'd look back in my car, I was like, oh, you know, Don, I got all this clothing. And I was like, damn, maybe I did want to be an actor because I have all the clothing that my mom was saying that this other actor had in his car.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, you really want to be an actor? Well, look how messy his car is.
That's how.
And I laughed sometimes. Or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you know, it's just like with wrestling. You know, they always tell us, you know, always make sure you keep your gear on you, because, you know, some guys, it's like they'll leave their gear at home and whatnot, but it's like, you know, you always bring your gear with you, because you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might be out somewhere and they be like, hey, it's wrestling in town, and you show up to the show, and hey, you're on the show now. So it's like everywhere I go, even if I'm going on a family vacation, I always bring my wrestling gear with me, because you never know.
Yeah, and, you know, and it goes for anybody who's an entertainer, and I mean that for athletes, everything. Because you think about anybody who plays basketball, there's always a basketball in their car. Anybody who's a boxer, they always got gloves and some shoes in the car. Like everybody always keeps some type of gear in their car. A mechanic doesn't leave the house without their tools. You know what I mean?
And now that you got these esports, people, they don't leave home without a controller.
Yeah, yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I know back in the day, like, I mean, I used to take my controller with me, because, you know, it's like when you going over to your boy's house, you know, they got two controllers. They got the one good controller, and then they got that GameStop controller, or they got the broken controller.
Or it's broken. Yeah, that's why they don't use it no more.
Yeah, and it's just like, man, it's like, what is this? They're trying
to set you up for the okie doke.
It'd be like, oh, there's nothing wrong with the controller, and the controller taped up and everything. It's just like, what is this, man? Like, how am I supposed to get jiggy with this? So you were saying that when you first started, you had did like a bunch of extra work. I know when we were talking on Twitter, you had told me this really cool story about when you were on the set of Burn Notice. And I want you to tell everybody the story that you had told me, because it was a really cool story.
You kind of had to remind me, because it was a spur of the moment. And there's a lot of stories on that episode that I met Reness that that a lot of things happened. But I'll keep with the respects of, you know, everybody that was involved. But okay, I remember which one I told you.
Okay,
I remember. So Danny Trejo was in the same episode that Reness got to work with Danny Trejo. It was actually, what's his brother's name? He played Joker on Friday. Oh my God, what's his name?
I can't think of his name neither.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah, we know the actor. Yeah.
Okay, the actor, right? It's embarrassing, but anyway, he was on that same episode that Danny Trejo was in, and so when I got to meet Danny Trejo, and we were talking for a little bit, and my friend, actually the one who brought me to LA, that I got to stay with at his place, that was when I mentioned earlier, Danny Trejo was like, I said, my friend is a huge fan of yours, because my friend used to be like, oh man, Danny Trejo, man, I would love to meet him. And I said, my friend is a huge fan of yours, man. And he said, where's he at? I said, well, he's at his place. And he said, man, are you here tomorrow? And I was like, yeah. He said, call him and tell him to come in tomorrow. And I said, all right, but how do I get him through, through security and let them know? He goes, man, I'll tell him he's my cousin. And that's sure enough, that's exactly what he did. He told everybody he was his cousin. My friend got to go on set and meet him and take pictures with him and the whole nine.
Bro, yeah,
and it was awesome. To me, it was just like really, to me, it was really cool, like really, really cool. And I've gotten to work with a few artists in this business, but that was like my first experience with somebody that was so humble and that was willing to do something like that and didn't know me. And didn't know my friend either. I was just like, my friend was in heaven. He was just like, oh man, this is amazing,
He was his cousin for a day.
That was his cousin for a day.
Yeah, he was a cousin for a day. Yeah.
Well, I know that's what Reness was telling us when he was up here, that like Danny Trejo, like he was just such a nice and humble guy, and like he was happy that he had the opportunity to meet him. I asked Reness this on the episode that we had him on, but what's your favorite movie that Danny Trejo's been in?
I think you guys mentioned Dusk to Dawn.
Yeah,
bro, it's like, come on, bro. Like that movie is awesome. Have you seen all three of them?
I didn't. I saw the first one.
Thank you. That's what I keep telling.
Dang, it's like nobody saw the other ones.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know if y'all ever watched the From Dusk Till Dawn TV show, but Danny Trejo, he's up there.
No, I never saw the TV show.
The TV show's pretty good.
I never saw. Yeah.
Like it's like
I never seen it.
It's like how you gonna have a TV show and not have Danny Trejo? He was From Dusk Till Dawn. Like I said, he was in all three movies.
And I think he was, from my understanding, his origin was like he was standing around and somebody thought he had a good look and they put him in the film, and that's how his career started.
That's crazy too.
And now
look at it. It's like
he's so beloved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's a good actor.
His face. You know what? He is himself in every space and place. And imagine if somebody said, "I'm gonna pay you money to be yourself here, everywhere," and he does. He gets, and he's such a humble person.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That it's like every role that you see him in, it's pretty much like he's just playing himself. It's like, do you want me to be angry or do you want me to be happy? Because in Spy Kids, we got Happy Machete, but then in Machete,
well, he wasn't happy in all of Spy Kids.
Yeah, he was.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah, he didn't want nothing to do. He wanted them kids.
Well, he won't angry like.
Well, he won't angry. I didn't say that. I just said he won't happy. Yeah, man. But it's always cool when you hear these awesome stories about some of the big. Not that. I mean, he's not like Brad Pitt or anything crazy, but he's still a household name. Yeah, everybody knows who he is.
It is.
And then it turns out that he's actually a super cool dude. It just makes it so much better because there's so many jerks out there that
is true.
Yeah, there are. I've gotten to work with quite a few like really well known. Like I got to work with Billy Bob Thornton. I got to work with John Boy.
I saw the pictures with you and Billy Bob Thornton on Goliath.
And then, Goliath. Yeah, that was a very interesting.
That's a really good show.
Yeah, it's interesting because people got to see a second version of that. The second season, which was rewritten when I was in it originally, and I got to work with. That's when I got to work with Billy Bob for like 5 episodes straight, and then I don't know what happened on the show, but the whole entire season got rewritten. I got called back, and then my character was a little smaller in the show, and I didn't have as much interaction with Billy as I had in the first run that we had shot.
That's nuts, man, that they recorded the whole season and then said, nah, we're going to change it.
We changing it up.
Yeah. And I don't know if you watched the second season, but that second season was bananas. Especially, as when you get...
I know my mom's into it. I've only seen I've only caught it sometimes randomly. And I think they just had the final season, right?
I think there's one more after this. It's the final.
Oh, okay. It's coming up in the final season. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Up,
But I know that they were wrapping up the show and ending it.
Yeah. And that was a wonderful experience. And I got to work with him, and he was really cool, man. I mean, like, I'll share a little story with him. There was episodes where I wasn't in, and I don't know if I should say this or not, but like, they called me up and they're like, "Yo, Billy wants you to come in for the episode." And I was like, "What?" And I thought they were BSing me, and I show up in the episode, and the director's like, "Billy wanted you here." And I was like, and I looked at Billy. He's like, "I gotta get my boy paid." I thought that was really cool. I was like,
cool. That is super cool.
And I was like, I said, I hope that I do that for someone one day. I can do that for someone. It's
the whole circle of life thing. You remember how you were treated when you first started, or not? I mean, because you've been doing it for a while now. But certain moments in your career where somebody helped you out, it's like, I'm going to pay it forward when I get to that point in my career. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I try to be when a new actor, like somebody who's and I'm gonna say green. It's somebody who's green.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
wants to perform.
That's a term we use in wrestling too. It's like when you first start in the business, it's like you're green.
You're green, and when somebody reaches out to me, I try to be as clear and helpful as possible without having me to be your mentor, like forcing me to be your mentor for somebody. Because I don't want to have to for lack of a better word, babysit somebody that I don't even know, but I am very helpful. And when actors reach out to me, like, how do I do this? How do I do that? And it's like, with this business, there's not, if there was one road to get to whatever destination you were trying to get to, we all be on that same road.
Exactly.
And the reality is that life doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. There's no map to life,
Yep. It's just all about finding your own path and just taking it. I mean, because it's like, like you said, it's like, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Like, if there was a way for everybody to be in blockbuster films, everybody would be in a blockbuster film. But
blockbuster film,
I feel like it's like with anything in life, you have to work hard for what you want to do.
You got to work hard, and the right people got to like you.
Exactly.
You got to be ready for that. It's like you got to be like when you said you have your equipment in the car when you're ready to wrestle. You got to be completely ready to rock when the time comes. And
he's not talking about Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said rock. But, I had to say it.
Jumanji 2 coming to theaters soon.
So what was the first acting role, like when you weren't an extra in a TV show or film? What was the first one that you did?
What's so funny? I didn't even remember this, but I had a cigar with somebody recently, and they were like, when we met? And I was like, nah, I don't remember. I met them in Miami at the time, and we did America's Most Wanted. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right, because my mom thought I really got shot in the America's Most Wanted. She started crying, and she said, I'm like, nah, like mom, like I ain't get shot.
Oh my
that was
God.
Just a TV show,
like, hold on, how was it explaining that to her? Like, nah, mom, I'm still here.
Yeah, I was trying to tell my mother it was fake. It was completely, it's just like, it wasn't real. It was a TV show.
Yeah.
But because of reenactments, I guess, people just assume that that's real.
That's the really,
I mean, I worked on another TV show here, and, just to segue into this, but I worked on another TV show, and I did some stuff to some girls in the TV show, and people got my Facebook Messenger, and I don't know if you know this, but most of the time you can send a message to anyone if it's open, if you don't have your securities. And they send me a message that the next time they see me in the street, they're going to punch me in my face.
Oh my God.
and I laughed. I did laugh. And then I was like, yo, what if this dude is like real? And like, I catch him in the street and I don't recognize him.
Yeah.
And he recognized me and he's crazy. Right?
I finally found you, Link.
He's like officially 730 type thing, and it's like, what if he come at me and I'm like thinking all smiling and he's like, straight up ready to get down, and it would catch me off guard over something, that people thought was real.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going back to the whole, when Jay-Z was retiring from hip hop, remember in the 99 Problems video, like he had to have that message before the video, just saying, hey, this is a video, like I really didn't die. Because there was some people that thought like that he really died in the video. It's crazy how some people's minds can think that, when they see something that it's legit. But I just say that it just goes to, how good of an actor you are. Like, if you got people really pissed off at you because of what you did on screen, then you did your job right. You made them hate you. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's like, you're not really like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And most of the characters, I don't know if you got to see any of the stuff that I've done, but all those characters ain't me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I saw some of the videos on your IMDb page, and yeah, man, it's like it's the same thing with wrestling, man. It's like there's some people who, I mean, I love being the bad guy. I've been a good guy, I want to say for the last 2 years now, but being the bad guy, like there's been situations where it's like people were really mad at me. I remember one guy tried to shoot me, allegedly.
He reached this guy. He threatened you? He threatened your life?
Like I was talking crap.
He thought he was approaching him to shoot him, but that was not the case.
I was talking crap to him. I was in the ring, and there was no security at this show. And so this dude lifted up the guardrail and started walking towards the ring and started reaching behind his back. And I'm just like, yo, like what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm like an animal out here in the wild. Like, if he shoots me, he shoots me,
what's his name? Oh my God. I don't believe I forgot his name right now. Oh my goodness. Denzel. Mm-hmm. There's a story that Jamie Foxx shared. I can't remember what show, but he said first time he saw Denzel, he was super excited. He was doing was performing his stand up, and he runs up to Denzel, and Denzel completely clocks him with his elbow right on his throat. Boom. And it choked him up. He was like, and he had told Denzel for the first time, like on this show. And Denzel was like, I do that to everybody.
I'm testing
and it's big, right? And you have to think about it, right? And I can see why your concern is if everyone approached you kind of excited, or what we can perceive as aggressive, because aggressive doesn't necessarily mean like you're being malicious. Because sometimes you could be aggressive and just be excited,
Yeah.
And so somebody approaches you consistently like that, then you start to, kind of like, oh my, you're invading my space. So I can see why you would be concerned, especially somebody reaching behind them. Like, you don't know if they were carrying a knife. You don't know if they're carrying, whatever it is, whatever weapon.
Look, I think it was just scratching his back, personally.
No, you can't.
Pulling out a wedgie.
It's easy for you. It's easy for you to say that. But like, what fan? Like, if you were at a wrestling show and you see a guy, he lifted up the guardrail and started walking towards the ring, and then started reaching behind his back. You know what I'm saying? Fans are supposed to stay behind the guardrail. I'm sure, Link, like, sometimes you have people on set who are just there, just watching the actors do what they do. And what if, they were really into what you were doing, and they think that you really killing somebody, and now they coming to tackle you, and you know what I'm saying? It's like, you don't know.
Yeah. I did a commercial one time, and they dressed me up as a delivery guy, and that's when I realized that I'm a blue collar guy. But they dressed me up as a delivery guy, and I had a truck and the whole nine. And I was at the shoot for the commercial, and the police wanted to escort me off the premises because they were filming a commercial. and I was like, yo, man, I'm in the commercial. Like, what you doing? And they're like, no, you need to leave. I said, I'm in the commercial. I was like, I called the director, and then they're like, oh, I'm sorry. When the director, he said, no, he's the guy from delivery, the commercial, because I look like a delivery guy.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and now I realized, I was like, wow, this is what I look like to everybody, like that blue collar guy. And I was like,
I look like a delivery guy. Oh, man.
So do you have any bad experiences that you've had in your acting career?
No, everything's been peachy perfect.
Some people don't have bad experiences. Some people.
When you say like bad experiences, like do you mean
did you ever have any?
He wants to know. He wants you to call out whoever was a douche to you.
No, I don't want him to do that, because you're never supposed to talk bad about somebody that did you wrong, because you never know if you got to work with them again.
You never know when you're gonna work with them.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna tell you. I'll show you some ups and downs in this space. I'm trying to figure out how to be politically correct too.
Yes.
Right. You know, we also have to understand, for me, like a majority of my work has been on TV.
Yes.
So all these guys are series regulars, you know, or ladies. I mean, guys in general, like men and women. All these people are series regulars, and so this is their job. This is their 9 to 5. They go, and I'm sure they get frustrated just like everybody else when they go to the 9 to 5. And I have to think about that and put myself in their shoes. So I don't really have much to say about any performers that I've gotten to work with. Yeah, like individuals per se, especially when I'm just there a day or 3 days or a week, or, you know, in Goliath, I worked from like June to December. So, and I got to meet so many different actors come and go in the process of that. But I will say there was one time I worked with agents. I'm gonna speak to specifically the agents, which was a surprise to me. I think I booked the role for Hello Ladies on HBO. I don't know if you remember that TV show. It's with Stephen Merchant, one of the original creators of The Office. And so I got to work with him anyway, and I was signed to this agent at the time, you know, and I think he sent me out 3 times in 1 year. I didn't know him really well. And when I booked, it was the first job I booked out of the 3 auditions that I had that 1 year. And he calls me up and says, "Hey, Link, I just wanted to let you know you booked the job for Hello Ladies." And I was like, "Oh man, that's great." And he was like, "Yeah, but it's not gonna make you a TV star or anything like that." And I was like, "Okay," you know, that sounded kind of a little odd to me.
Yeah.
And then he proceeds. He's like, "Yeah, man. So, you know, what you doing right now?" I was like, "I'm reading the script." Mind you, I don't know him really well. It's the first job I booked with him. And I said, "No, I'm just reading the script." And he's like, "Well, why don't you come over here and pick me up at my house right now? I need to go into work." And I'm like, "I don't know you."
Yeah, why?
Like in my mind, I'm like, "Wow!" Like all of a sudden, you know, I gotta do something for you, and I don't even know you. And I said to him, I said, "What?" And he was just like, I need you to come pick me up, man. My car's in the shop, man. So come pick me up." And he said, I'll text you my address." And I said, "Well, will you feel comfortable riding on handlebars?" And he was like, "What?" I said, "Because I don't have a car. I just ride a bicycle everywhere. You want me to pick you up on my bicycle?" And he was like, "What? And you don't drive?" I said, "Nah, man, I only have a bicycle, but it's a comfortable handlebar. Like I got pads on my handlebars, so I think you'd be comfortable if that's cool with you." And he was like, "Nah, man, forget it. It's okay." And he hung up the phone. I was just like, wow, like, you know, why would you do that to somebody? You know, like, you know, be so condescending, and then on top of that, ask him for something.
Yeah. Especially like you said, y'all didn't even know each other for real.
I didn't even know him, and eventually I dropped him. And that was easy. That was like a no-brainer. I was like, "I'm dropping you right after this show." But you know, just in this business, you know, you meet people, and they have their, you know, this is their 9 to 5. Casting directors have their 9 to 5. They're trying to look for a job just like you. And I tell people, like, you know, when I go to the East Coast, they're like, "Oh man, you got all this money," and it's like, just because you see somebody on TV, and I know how exciting it is to see somebody on TV, but the reality is that everybody is a contractor. Look at it like that. Like, we're contractors. Unless you're working on a show and your name is a series regular, or you're a recurring guest star on that TV show, you're not really raking in the dough like that, you know?
And I mean, like, that makes sense. I mean, like you said, the series regulars are the ones that are going to be making the most money. And if you're just a person that's just, you know, having a one role or one line on the show, like, you're not really bringing in the dough. I mean, unfortunately, people think that whenever somebody gets some sort of limelight on them, that they're instantly rich now, or they're making the big bucks. You know what I'm saying? One thing that I wanted to bring up is that when I had looked at your sizzle reel, I saw that you had did a lot of roles where you were either a security guard or you were a cop. Is that a role that you like playing, or a role that, you know, because I've seen before where it's like, you know, when you look up acting gigs, like they say that, you know, we're looking for a cop or a security guard or something like that. Is that a role that you prefer playing?
Is it, you know, I would love to play a detective, like some true detective. I would love to play in a space like that. I haven't played a detective, which would be great. A cop, yeah. Most of the time I play, and that's what I said about blue collar. I can play your mechanic. I'll play your cop. I'll play, you know, a parole officer, which I've done. Do I like it? Yeah, if it has some meat. I mean, I'll play a farmer if it has some meat. Like, don't send me to, you know, for me, it's like, don't send me a role that I'm like, hey, I'm cutting your garden, you know, you know, I can't like that. It has to have a little bit of substance.
I get what you're saying. It's like, you know what I mean? Like you want more lines. You know, you don't want to just say, hey, how you doing?
Right. Like for me, like, and, you know, there comes a point in your career where you say no to those projects. And I have said no, and I've passed on projects. And, you know, and some people, you know, depending on your team, you know, hopefully the team is on the same page, because, you know, like, you know, you want to level up. And that's the goal.
Name of the podcast.
That's no pun intended.
Right. That's no pun intended.
Right. Yeah, no pun intended. But you want to level up. And so there has to be it's like an example, you know, when I first came to LA, I did a bunch of free projects. Free. Tons of free projects.
Get that exposure.
And I had my it was the experience, because I didn't study acting. I didn't go to school for acting. I got into it in my 30s. So to me, it was all a learning process, and I didn't know the business, and I wanted to learn the business. In order to learn the business, I had to get myself dirty. So I took every project. Like, I've had tons of different jobs, you know, day jobs, but I took tons of different acting jobs just to get the experience, to get the understanding, to get the understand the terminology. And then eventually I pulled the plug on that. I said, I'm not doing anything for free. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to set myself, and I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to do things for no less than $100, you know, for that day.
Yeah.
And then I got to that stage, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do something no less than $200. If I gotta miss work and I'm not getting paid the same or more, then there's no reason for me to be doing this project. And I got into that space. And that was my mind state too, because it's an art. You know, people are like, well, if you want to be an actor, you know, you shouldn't care about, you know, money or anything. You could just go and do a play. And I'm like, yeah, that's if you want to do that. Me, I don't want to do that. I'm very clear. You know, I don't want to be acting and not get paid.
Exactly.
You know, like, I need to pay my bills too. I mean, like, and you know, there's projects where I'll dedicate, I'll do something for a friend of mine that's for free, but you have to respect my time.
Yes.
And time is really important. It's like, if I need you to do something for free, then tell me, you know what, Link, I'm going to get you in, and I'm going to get you in for just 2 hours. And I'm going to get you in and out. And I promise you, you know, and we got to be cool, you know, I'll do it. But as far as like spending an entire day or 3 or 4 days and not get paid, it's like, how am I going to pay my bills?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's just so there was a point where I had to pull the plug. So I don't do the one-liners. I try to stay away from those things, you know, and I've booked quite a few one-liners, you know. But I just try not to do that, because that's not the mind state that I'm in, and that's not where I want to go in my career.
I always compare everything to wrestling, you know, when it comes to, you know, anything that you do in life. And like pretty much what you're saying, it's the same thing that we go through in the wrestling business, where it's like, you know, you do free stuff. I know Trav just looked at me because I said do, but you do free stuff, you know, to get your name out there, to get the exposure, to get the experience. But then it's like you said, after a while, it's like, yo, I got bills to pay. It's like, is it really worth driving over 12 hours to, you know, wrestle for free? Like, I gotta still pay for gas, I gotta pay for food, I gotta pay tolls, you know what I'm saying? It's like, is it worth it? You know what I'm saying? So I got one question for you, because this is something that we do in the wrestling business. It's like, sometimes it's like guys will ride together, so that way, you know, you're not spending as much money compared if you were, you know, going by yourself. So were there any times where you were, you know, getting your hands dirty and doing like some of the free gigs, that you know, had like a buddy system, an actor buddy system?
You know what? I'm sad to say that I think I think I like to believe every actor comes out here hoping that they find their like Seth Rogen crew, like their, that crew.
Yeah. Adam Sandler, Ben Stiller.
And the Adam Sandler, all these guys, like they find their crew. And we have, I think, at least for me, I have never found, even people that I've known from other places that I knew that I was out here. And when I was out here, they reach out and they're like, yo, Link, so how was this in LA? And I start giving them all this information. They move out here and I don't hear anything from them.
Yeah,
and that's typical LA life.
I mean, that happens in the wrestling business too. You help somebody get their foot in the door and it's like they just take off, and sometimes people will pay it back, sometimes they won't pay it back, sometimes people remember, you know what I'm saying? It's just like the story you was talking about earlier with you and Billy Bob. It's like you got to pay it forward.
Right, I pay forward, and that was wonderful. Now, as far as jobs is concerned, I've done everything from boring, coring bull testicles to washing dishes in the back. So because I had to pay my bills. I was doing a film for free for 4 days, and it was brand new. I was almost 3 months behind my rent, and I was just new out here, and I was traveling to some place. I don't even know the place. It's not Palm City, I think it's called, something like that. I don't know if you're familiar with LA, but it's somewhere like Palm City or something. It's really far. and so I drove my car out there. They didn't pay me for any gas. I was doing it for free. It was somebody that I had met and they asked me, and he was a really cool guy. And I was like, yeah, man, I'll do it, But when I committed to that, it so happens I booked a commercial. And I said, yo, man, I booked a commercial, but I don't think the dates are going to conflict, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, would you guys be willing to be able to accommodate, so that I can do the gig and still do the job for you guys? And he told me yes. Okay. So I drove almost 2.5 hours away. Okay. Mind you, they're not paying me. Okay. I'm almost 3 months behind my rent, and we shoot a scene, and it was great. And then I get a phone call. Hey, you need to come tomorrow for wardrobe out in Santa Monica. Now this is on the other side. I'm traveling. So I ask permission. They give me the permission. I travel all the way over there. I travel all the way back. And I spent the entire, 6 hours over there, traveled all the way back. I get a phone call when I get there saying they're going to film on the same day that I'm filming for their TV show, for their film. And I was like, man, I'm behind on my rent. And this will really put me in a position where I can catch up to my rent. And I asked the guy if they'd be willing to help, if I can maybe shoot it a different day, I'll come back out here and drive, and they weren't willing to do it. And that put me in a tough situation where I had to go, and, I don't know about you guys, but I have kids,
Yeah.
And at the time, my youngest kid, my middle kid and my youngest kid were with me, and my wife was with me. And so I was almost 3 months behind my rent. So I was like freaking out. My wife was with her 9 to 5, but it was like playing catch up. And I told the guys, listen, man, I'm going to have to, I really apologize. And I felt bad. I felt horrible. And I had bowed out of doing that show, of that film. And I remember the guys, they pulled me to the side. They poured a shot of whiskey for me. And they said, let's talk. And the guy who had referred me, and he said to me, sometimes in this business, referrals are more important than money. And, sometimes you don't want to burn your bridge, by walking away from this project. And, that weighed heavy on me, because I was new to LA. And I told him, the only thing I said was, yo, man, have you ever bought a bag of chips and felt guilty that you were eating them? And he looked at me and he was like, no. I said, because you don't have kids. I said, when you have kids, you're going to know what it's like to give to somebody else before you give to yourself. And right now I need to give to my family before I give to myself. And if I stay here, I'll be giving to myself before I give to my family. And I got in my car and I left.
That's
a good story, man.
Bro, I'm wrapped into the story.
I mean, again, like I said, just going back to wrestling, I mean, like sometimes, stuff like that happens where it's like you have to choose the high road over, doing what you want to do for yourself. And, obviously your family comes first, and I gotta catch up. I got bills to pay. I mean, like, it's nice doing this, and it's like, yeah, I appreciate, you know, the referrals and whatnot, but it's like I got bills to pay. Like, it would be cool if we all had money like that, where it's like, yeah, I can do this. It's not affecting my life at home, but nah, I mean, I got stuff I got to do.
That's you know, so sometimes you gotta, like, you're wrestling. I wouldn't, you know, there's times where you gotta say, no, I'm not gonna do this for free. You know, pay me something, you know, or respect my time.
Or drive, you know? or drive 12 hours only for $20. You know what I'm saying?
Trust me, when I first got here, they wanted me to travel from LA to San Diego so I could make $100, right? I would have to give 20% to my agent, right? Plus I had to pay for car fare, you know, so my gas money, all the money that I would have made, I would have gone all the way over there and came back and made no money.
Mm-hmm. And then you have, I'm sorry to cut you off, and then you have some people that are like, oh, well, you know, it's for the experience, and you know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, man, it's like,
trust me, I had an argument with one of my agents at the time. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
I had an argument with one of my agents, and I said, I'm not going to do it. And the lady lost it. And she says, you're never going to work in this company again. And I said to her, and I was like, I'm really polite. Anybody like that knows me, they'd be like, yo, you know, Link is really like a really nice person. And she was talking down to me. She was being condescending to me. And I lost it. My wife was right next to me. And I just, you know, I said all this stuff that I can't say on this podcast.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that.
But you let her know who you was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said to her, you know, you're talking to a grown man.
Yeah.
I said, I'm a grown man. Don't. And I was just lost it. And she fired me, and it was just the irony, right? And then my commercial agent, because I was signed to them across the board, my commercial agent calls me like 3 days later, like, yo, Link, they want to book you for a commercial. And I was like, nah, man, but I'm not with you guys. And he was like, I don't care. You need the money. I need the money. Go and do this job for me. and so I did the job, and that was it. Oh, she was pissed.
It was just like that scene in the Temptations movie, where the Temptations was finally on TV, and their old agent, she was pissed off because she lost all that money.
Yeah.
So I had what were you about to say something, Trav?
Nah, I was looking at you because you was about to ask something.
Okay, yeah, I was about to bring up. Because I saw that you were on NCIS Los Angeles and you were on the other NCIS. How was it working on those shows? Because like those shows have been on for a long time, man.
Well, you know, with NCIS LA I got to work with she's so pretty. I'm trying to remember her name right now. Oh my goodness, she was on she's been on Boys in the Hood. What's her name?
Regina King?
Yeah.
No, not Regina King. Oh my God, what's her name?
Nia Long?
Nia Long.
Okay.
Yes. So I got to work with her. And you know, sometimes they thought I was a stuntman. So she was like, "Are you an actor?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm an actor." And I laughed. I was like, "I'm thinking, am I doing that bad?" You know. And so I was trying to figure out how to drop her guard. And I think I said to her, "I had a crush on you since Boys in the Hood," and I walked away from her. And she laughed. But being on that show, man, it was just. They're a machine. Like network TV is a machine, and I mean a machine as in they move fast. They're just like it's run shoot. It's always you're always on the go. I'll tell you a funny story in that episode they put, I think it was $1 million in a bag, okay, and I was supposed to toss that bag. Do you know how much like $1 million of paper, like $1 million of paper weigh?
I can only imagine.
For you, right? So for you to like just toss it, like you know, like you know, and I was like, and then I looked at them, I was like, yo, I said, you know, I could put $1 million in my pocket. You guys need to get some bigger bills in here, you know. And so, you know, the director was like, I thought you were stronger than that, Link, and because it weighs, you know. So finally, they kind of emptied out the bag a little bit more, and even then, it was still heavy. And every time I tossed that bag, which you don't see, but every time I tossed that bag, the bag would flip upside down. And they didn't want that. They wanted me to toss it, and I couldn't control how the bag would move. I was trying to figure out how to. And the take that they used, the bag did flip upside down. But everybody seemed to be really cool. I was co-starring that show, and I came in and I just did my job, and everybody else was doing their thing. I got to meet LL Cool J, which he was icon, but he was sometimes people are in the zone and you don't want to interrupt them, and so you let them do their thing.
Of course,
and some people are a little bit more social, and you engage them that way. Another thing that was really funny on that show was in the shooting scene. I don't know if you ever seen it, but we had a gunfight scene, and my prop gun wouldn't shoot. Okay, and I had to play like I was firing. So there's a lot of scenes where I'm just firing, and there's no recoil, the actual recoil from the gun. And so in one shot, it actually started shooting, and I was surprised. And the adrenaline rush that ran through me, I ran with that gun. You remember how I ran with that gun? I was all into it, because once it's firing, it's like the recorder that your adrenaline's pumping. And I'm running, and it was like the Three Amigos. I tossed that gun from one hand into the other, and I was running, and I jumped to the side, and I tossed it again, but my adrenaline was pumping, right? And we shot that scene. They're like, "Cut! That was great! That was great!" And the prop guy goes, "Yo, I didn't know you know how to do tricks with the gun." I said, "I can't do that again." I said, "Hopefully they got that take, and that was it," because it looked pretty cool. I was like, I was going, wow, I'm really doing this. I don't even know how to do that. And then of course, next scene, I was never able to execute it again, because that was just pure adrenaline.
Right. It was like lightning in a bottle.
Yeah. It was. But it reminded me of the Three Amigos. You don't know if you remember when Martin Short is tossing the gun from one hand to the other. Yeah. And it was just like that. It was smooth. I was like, wow, I
killing it right now.
I'm in the zone right now.
Yeah.
Now, man.
But it was cool.
So the crazy thing is, though, that you've been in a lot of like cool things. I mean, the Fosters, and you mentioned Goliath and NCIS and S.W.A.T and the Fix. And now I don't know, you said you spent most of your time in TV, but I know you got a new movie coming out called Fade Out Ray. And
that was really cool.
Yeah, I don't know if you just want to, I don't know what you can talk about or fill in, if you want to, plug that or.
Let me just back up. On the NCIS, just for the note, when I got to work on the regular NCIS, that was a family. They were so close and so sweet. Really, really sweet.
Who's the main guy on NCIS? The older
Mark Harmon is the face guy.
Yeah, Mark Harmon. A lot of people talk about how really nice he is.
Man, sweet. That dude is a gentleman. Like I watched how he interacted with elderly people. Yep. And it was just like, I watched him. I was like, wow, that's a that's a man right there. That's a
man's man.
That's a man's man. It was like, I was like, oh wow, like that guy, the way he carried himself was beautiful. Fade Out Ray, man. Frankie Martinez and Matt. They call him the Turk. Those guys, man, I met them at a coffee shop. I used to work at a coffee shop, and I was recommended by a customer that went there with, to these director and his producer. And we met at a coffee shop, and, they had me read a script like right there on the spot. I thought I was going to like go to meet them and then go to an audition.
Yeah.
No, they had me like audition on the spot. And I was, when you're not, for me, I'm an actor that needs to be, has to have the words. Like I'll say what you write, great. I can't write, but I'll say what you write, great. But I need to know the words. I'm not like somebody that's just like, oh, I don't, off the cuff and say these words. No, because I need to be able to dissect the script or the scene. But they had me read on the spot. They liked me, and they casted me in this film. And I was a little bit nervous, and so they sent me the script, and I read it. And I was just like, wow, this is like some crazy film. And
the trailer looks crazy.
I know it looks crazy, right? It's like you want to see it because it's like, we shot a scene, and I looked over and I looked at the scene and what the director did, and I was like, I think this guy's a genius. I think this guy is smart, and we talked for a little bit, and I fell in love with the script, and I was like, either this is going to be amazing or it's not, but it's definitely unique and different than anything I've ever seen and ever been in, you know?
So it looks very Tarantino-ish.
Yeah, you know what? You say Tarantino, to me it had a Coen Brothers type feel to it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and it had, and I'm sure it had that mix, Tarantino, right. Coen Brothers. And mind you, this guy has never directed before. This is his first time directing, and he was able to pull something like that off. And they funded it themselves. And to me, they're a testament to somebody that, like, it took them quite a few years to do that, because we did that maybe almost 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. But they never stopped. It was like, you know what? They're the turtle in the race, but they're just sticking with it. They're just getting through. And to what you saw, which I was the first time I saw it, I was like, oh wow, this is great, because I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
So when is it coming out? Because all it says on this website is that it's coming out.
I don't know.
Because it says 2019, but 2019 almost over. So I'm assuming probably next year sometime.
I have no idea. They're very secretive about what they do. So I really don't know. Like I even asked, when I was like, is this thing ever coming out? And I asked them for some scenes. They didn't really send me any scenes. They sent me like little bits and pieces, which I was like, I can't use any of this because, but I had to respect it because they're, it's Frank and Turk's vision.
Right.
And, and I was like, okay, I get it. This is your vision and this is your baby. And I respect all that. And I had to wait. And then all of a sudden, like a few weeks later, I see the trailer and I'm like, oh, this is fly. I'm digging this. And it hasn't even been fully color corrected either. He was just putting something out so that people can actually see.
Yeah.
But I don't know when they're going to release it. I don't know if it's going to go into festivals. I think it has the potential to be into festivals. I don't, but I don't know what they're, because they're very secretive about what they're doing.
Okay.
Yeah. I wish I had something to say. Like, yeah, it's going to be out in 2020, and nothing.
Well, that's the thing. Like you were saying about it going into festivals. You never know, what's going to pop off.
Yeah.
And blow up big in the festival circuit. So, yeah, I definitely wish them the best, man, with the film and whatever. Because it looks good.
It's definitely something that I would like to check out when it does come out.
Me too. I told him. When I read the script, I said, Frank, man, this is a movie that I would go and see. Like, and I don't say that for every film, but I was like, I would go and see this because it looks pretty cool. And, but yeah, I'm hoping that, I don't even know how my scenes came out,
Yeah, so
like
it's going to be
it was the first time watching.
It's going to be fresh to you when you finally see it.
Yeah, and I'm a type of person that when I see myself, I kind of cringe a little bit.
Hey, trust me, man. It's like we feel the same way about every episode. That it's like when we record an episode, it's just like, man, it's like I don't know, and it's like when we listen to it, it's just like, oh man, like that came out better than I thought it was going to come out. But trust me, like I know the feeling, man. So one last thing that I wanted to ask you before we wrap this up. Because it's like, the stories that you've told us, it's like they've been really great and very inspiring. So to anybody that would like to pursue a career in acting, what is some advice that you would like to drop on them? Drop some fresh knowledge.
You know what? I'm gonna share something, and it goes universally. I think it. I'll say this. One time, I was with a photographer. I was going to meet with the photographer, and he gave me some homework to do on my own, right? Mm-hmm. And he said to me, he says, do me a favor, Link. He says, get butt naked My kids always laugh the way I say that. My kid, no, but he said, get in, look in the mirror, and I want you to write everything that you see that you don't like about yourself, and everything that you see that you like about yourself. And I was like, what? And so you have to be so honest with who you are, you know what you see. And I wrote down this laundry list of things I didn't like about myself, and I wrote this laundry list of things that I liked about myself, and that seemed to be a little shorter, you know. And he said, "This what you written down is what you see and what the world sees." He says, and you have to come to terms that this is it, and then everything else is what you put forth, right? So I was like, okay. So I took that information. And so what I would tell actors, definitely be honest with who you are. You know, there's some actresses and actors that, and I mean actors in general. When I say actors, there's some actors that believe they look a certain way, and when you meet them, they don't look like that.
Right.
You know, and that goes for male and female, and and them too. And so there has to be, you have to be honest with yourself. The second thing I would tell you, for anybody who wants to be an actor, is take a camera and film yourself, and do a scene and put like the person's beside the camera and shoot that scene. Whatever that is, like practice doing that, because that's what you're going to do in the audition room. You need to understand logistics when you're in that room. If your reader's on the left side of the camera or on the right side of the camera, and there's somebody else that you're supposed to be talking to, next to them, you need to be able to position those people so that it looks great when you're on camera. And that's a technique that I feel like from people that I've met that have studied acting in, these prestige schools, that they don't teach, And the other thing is, sorry, my boss texted me now and threw me completely off. The other thing is, I would say, don't stop. It's like when you ever go to the supermarket, right? And you're in line and you're in a rush and you look over and you see that other line is shorter. So you jump out of that line and you jump into that line only to find out that they need the manager and the key and all that.
Right,
stuff.
That happens all the time.
And the person that you were behind now passes you, and another person passes you. You're like, damn, I should have stayed in that line. Right. Stay in the line. Don't get out, because your time will come. If you, it's like if you're a negative person, right? And you're out in the streets and you're doing, stuff that you shouldn't be doing. The chances of you getting caught, arrested, or your life ending, or whatever it may be, are high. The same thing happens if you channel it in a different way. If you go positive, if you do things, to push that forward in that light. So if you're pursuing something, it will pay off. It's like, I'm not in any shape. I'm in some shape. It's just kind of like morphs consistently the more I eat. But they say if you work out consistently, then you'll see the results, right?
Yeah.
And you have to create a discipline in the process of doing that. It's the same thing with acting. You have to create a discipline and you have to work at it. You want satisfaction, and we all want the gratification immediately. That's just the world that we live in. You want the likes, you want you want people to recognize you, until you're so recognized that you don't want anyone to recognize you, And so, understand that it's a, how they say, it's a marathon. It's not a race.
Right.
And understand that you have to stick with it. And so I recommend people to just not get out of line, push, and then have your limits. Like, understand that what your self-worth is. And I think that goes universally with whatever you do.
I agree with you on that.
It's like value yourself, learn to value yourself.
I just want to say thank you for that.
Because, thank you for that. That was leaving us with that, man.
Yeah, because that was really, really good, man.
Yeah, man, we appreciate all the time you gave us. Almost an hour and a half.
Yeah, this is a good, fun episode, man. We appreciate you, coming up here, and I'm glad that you responded back to me when I reached out to you on Twitter, man. So before we let you go, tell everybody in social media land where they can find you at.
You can find me on Twitter at Link Ruiz, or on Instagram at Link Ruiz, and that's LinkRuiz. I'm gonna plug some things in. Might as well, right?
Yeah, go ahead. The floor is yours.
So the Fade Out Ray is coming out. I'm on a show called Party of Five, which is a remake. The Latino
you just
version.
nonchalantly said it too. I'm on this random show called Party of Five. It was only one of the biggest shows of the 90s.
Yeah. So you catch me on the episode there. I come back. I return to Vita.
Oh, okay.
So you guys get to see me. I don't know if you ever seen Vita.
Yeah, but I've heard of Vita.
Yeah, it's definitely a groundbreaking show. So, I mean, everything, I appreciate you guys for having me on the show, and I wish you guys much success. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Same to you, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's it.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, until next time. We hope
we'll definitely have to have you back.
We hope to have you back up here again, man, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Absolutely, man. Level up.
Hey, man, we appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Thanks a bunch.
Yeah.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching another episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe to the channel. Podcast, we got that too. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit that bell for further episodes and notifications. Thanks a lot to our patrons. And if you don't mind, join the Patreon. We'll be having new specials coming up soon.